Sticks here with the Token Minorities, bringing you the power rankings for Week 7 of the National Pokeball League, and this week was the week of the 5-0, as half of the matches were decided by exactly that margin. Additionally, this week's games resulted in a higher number of larger jumps in the rankings than I have ever done before, both moving up and dropping down. And finally, with literally every team still in the playoff hunt, particularly the race at the middle of the pack is guaranteed to heat up as we near the home stretch of the regular season. But with that said, let's just go ahead and jump right into the rankings. Starting at the bottom, we have number 12, the Colorado Avalugs, who are 1-6 with a -20 differential. They were previously number 11, so they have dropped down one. They lost to the San Antonio Swamperts 0-2, and admittedly, being in the undoubtedly toughest division in the entire league does little to help out a slumping team. Colorado continued their 6-game slide with a loss to San Antonio, like I said. Going on to the battle, early in the game, Colorado had a lot of trouble with the opposing Conkeldurr, and he ended up losing his Hoopa Unbound, which really would have destroyed San Antonio's team by turn 4. Unfortunately, Subaltaria, while a great set, was not able to do much of anything as he didn't bring Earthquake, allowing the opposing Heatran to really just wall it into oblivion. I mean, there was absolutely nothing Altaria could do except for like a 14% return, which is pretty ridiculous given like all the boost from Pixelate, Stab, all of that. So I mean, the fact that its only attacking move was return, I mean, it was really just walled by Heatran and there's nothing he could do about it. Unfortunately, some misses here and there with Willow and Hydro from Rotom allowed San Antonio to get a Guts boost on Conkeldurr while avoiding having their Gastrodon get burned, so it really kind of eased the switch of switching into Conkeldurr into the burn. And then Conkeldurr was even allowed to remain at right about 50% and take out the Rotom, as Hydro Pump did miss on it, which... not sure on the calcs, not sure if that would have KO'd, but it definitely did matter damage-wise. So that was really, really unfortunate for Colorado. So they're tilting, and I mean, their Pokemon seem to be tilting as well. So we hope for them to be able to turn around, which I definitely do think they can. And at the end of the battle, Chansey was able to make the game closer, but he really wasn't able to pull through, because I mean, it's Chansey, it's not going to be sweeping, it's going to be walling. So they went down 2-0, and I'm really hoping Colorado will be able to turn it around in the near future. At number 11, we have the Montreal Cobalions, who are 2-5 with a -10 differential. They were previously number 10, so they are down 1, and they lost to the Toronto Staraptors 0-3, and from the beginning of the battle, it was really obvious that they were just overmatched. I mean, looking at the team preview, their only Mon that could take on Toronto's 3 physical attackers was Granbull, and Granbull doesn't have any recovery outside of leftovers, so relying on that one Mon who is NU to try to take on 3 very real OU threats was already putting him kind of behind coming out of the gate. He got fortunate early in the game when Granbull was able to crit Jirachi with an Earthquake and take it out, allowing it to only get up rocks and not even be able to get off an Iron Head on the Granbull, which that damage would have been very crucial for Talonflame late game. So Granbull was able to escape pretty unscathed at that point, but he was caught off guard by Breloom as he really just sacked Machamp and Excadrill for no real reason before going back into Granbull, allowing it to get damaged in order to take out the Breloom. So I mean, had he just stayed in with Granbull, he would have been able to take out the Breloom while just getting a little bit of damage on him, but unfortunately, because he decided to switch out into 2 different Mons, he lost both of them in the process, and that really, really screwed Montreal over, as Talonflame late game was really just able to clean up his team. I know the score was only 3-0, so that indicates a somewhat tough game, but the battle was not nearly as close as the score indicated. I mean, Jolt didn't even have to send out his Latias or his Clefable, 2 of his, favorite and most known for Mons, in order to win. So, I mean, that really just kind of tells you what was going on in the battle. So, an offensive game that Montreal just didn't have enough to keep up with, and they ended up losing 3-0. At number 10, Michael and I both have the New York Metangs, who are 2-5 with a -11 differential. They were previously 8, and they are down 2 after losing 0-5 to the Atlanta Braviaries. And After losing to a top team, you wouldn't normally expect that to drop a team down too much, but Washington's incredibly convincing win over St. Louis Reshiram's resulted in me being of the opinion that Washington deserved to be in a place above the Matangs when what came down to a decision of which team really just had a better showing this week. In the battle, a lack of early scouting resulted in their Donphan, who happened to be New York's really only true check to SD Doublade, to be taken out while doing less than 50% to the opposing Seismitoad. So, I mean, had he potentially scouted out what Seismitoad was going to do instead of just going for it immediately, I think he would have had a better chance. And especially with Donphan in the situation that it was in, he needed it to be able to check Doublade, and he just let it get taken out immediately. So that was a little bit of oversight on that part, and it was really just insult to injury at that point because Kyurem froze the opposing Regigigas, which, I mean, allowed Atlanta to not only keep Kyurem, but get rocks up and get some more damage on Regigigas before it was able to unfreeze and take out the opposing Seismitoad. So that was really, really unfortunate for New York. And I mean, it kind of seemed that he gave up the match because, I mean, after Regigigas was able to take out Seismitoad with a Choice Specs Hyper Beam, Doublade was able to come in and not only get a free turn of setup on the recharge, but get a free turn of setup on the switch. And so, I mean, that's an automatic +4. But New York really just seemed to give up the matches. It just continually went for Hyper Beam against the Doublade, allowing it to get up to +6 and just sweep through his entire team. So, I mean, that was really just kind of an easy match for Atlanta. I mean, the Hacks was very, very, very unfortunate. But, I mean, he really just gave up the match once Regigigas got frozen. And I really wanted to see Regigigas go for a Choice Specs Hyper Beam because that'd be ridiculous. But I really don't think that was the best point to go for it at that point in the game. But, I mean, oh well, you can't really do anything about it anymore. And that's what resulted in New York losing 0-5. At the number 9 spot, we have the Washington Charizards, who are 2-5 with a -12 differential. They were previously number 12, so they're up 3. They won over the St. Louis Reshiram 5-0 in the biggest jump of the entire season. A slumping Washington was able to take out a former top 3 St. Louis Reshiram and turned in their best performance of the entire season. In the battle, through some nice switching early on, Washington was able to get rid of St. Louis's Lantern's lefties and wear it down while simultaneously healing Jolteon back up. Safety Goggles Torn was easily the MVP, as it caught St. Louis extremely off guard to where Torn was able to damage a Moongus significantly while also removing its Black Sludge, so that was huge for them. Knockoff continued to show why it is arguably the best move in the Gen 6 metagame after Mega Scizor clutchly survived a Fire Blast from Bulky Ments, which allowed the Scizor to not only remove the Salamance's lefties, but get Bullet Punch damage off, which ultimately allowed Washington's Crocodile to bulk up and sweep through the rest of St. Louis's team, which resulted in the very lopsided 5-0 victory. So overall, I was just very, very impressed by Washington. It seemed like all the prep that they put in, every little quirk that he added to his team paid huge dividends for him as he was able to pull off his biggest win of the year. In the rat race, that is the middle of the pack, we have at number 8 the Oakland Rose Raiders, who Michael had at number 9, but then again, I had the Washington Charizards at number 9, Michael had them at number 8, so I mean, it's really just kind of a flip-flop of order. They are 2-5 with a -8 differential. They were previously number 7, so they are down 1. They lost to Manaphy City 0-3, and despite not getting the mileage that he was probably hoping for out of his lead Mamoswine, I'm talking about the battle now, he was able to effectively use Zoroark's illusion ability to lure in some of Manaphy City's walls and reduce their recovery options by either knocking off their leftovers or U-turning into a Pokemon with Toxic. Geez, all this knockoff this week, I mean, that should be the theme of the week, a knockoff. Whatever, I'll remember that later. But unfortunately, he was not able to scout out Dragalge's set, and he didn't scout it out, and a reckless switch into Magneton resulted in it just getting destroyed by an HP ground from Dragalge, eliminating any hopes he had of having a Mon survive Draco Meteors from Scarfed Hydreigon or Dragalge. So that was really unfortunate. I mean, he was able to briefly have hope with the combination of Mega Lopunny and Arcanine at the end, but those hopes were ultimately dashed as Manaphy City once again buried its opponent's dreams under a blanket of Draco Meteors. I believed I used that exact same simile or metaphor last time. But anyway, at number 7, we have the San Antonio Swamperts, who are 3-4 with a -2 differential. They were previously number 9, so they're up 2. They won over the Colorado Avalugs 2-0, and in the battle, aggressive early play from San Antonio, wow, allowed him to punch a hole in Colorado's team as he was able to eliminate Colorado's biggest threat in Hoopa. Now, in the end of the game, things became very interesting, like I said before, as Colorado's Chansey was pitted against 4 special attackers, a battle which, Chansey would normally win. However, a combination of knockoff Mega Alakazam, which I thought was really smart planning on San Antonio's part, combined with a Trick Scarf Celebi and a Toxic Heatran, was able to wear down Chansey until it was finally KO'd, ultimately sealing the victory for San Antonio in a very impressive 2-0. And it wasn't impressive in score, but it was impressive how he handled the situations and how he handled the matchups. So bravo to San Antonio on that win. At number 6, we have the St. Louis Reshiram, who are 4-3 with a +2 differential. They were previously number 6, so there is no change. And even though they lost to Washington Charizard 0-5, every team below them, well, directly below them, lost. So they were fortunate enough, despite losing very convincingly to a bottom team, to remain firmly in the playoff picture at this point. Well, not firmly, they're on the fringe, but that's just kind of a result of everybody else in the league losing and St. Louis just being fortunate from the circumstances. In the battle, poor play early with Lantern allowed it to be neutralized almost immediately, and some overprediction resulted in essentially mitigating his early Toxic on Jolteon, as he healed it twice by going for Revolt Switch while Jolteon was out, and Jolteon had Volt Absorb, so it was really just able to heal up on some overprediction. So that was really questionable on St. Louis's part. And ultimately, while Washington seemed to have every little preparation work to its fullest extent, like I said before, St. Louis seemed to have the opposite problem and seemed to not be able to utilize their preparation in the same way. I know the coach is very capable and very strategic in the format, so I have no doubt that he made his team designed around a solid game plan and expectations. However, he was really disrupted by Washington's unique sets, and that caught him off guard to the point where he wasn't able to recover, and that ultimately ended up costing him the match. At number 5, we have the Portland Timbers, who are 4-3 with a +5 differential. They were previously number 3, so they are down to, and they are out of the top 4, I believe, for the first time this entire season, minus preseason, I think, maybe. They lost to the Phoenix Sunkern 0-5, and Portland continues its slide, losing its 3rd straight battle after starting the season 4-0, and has fallen out of the top 4 rankings completely. In the battle, Portland allowed their Scizor to be taken out by a high jump kick from Mega Medicham after a bullet punch from Scizor failed to KO the Medicham from half health. And I found that questionable because he had a Cresselia in the back, which, in general is a perfect switch into Mega Medicham, as even neutral attacks don't do much against it. So I was questioning the logic behind that set of plays. I do give him props for baiting out Toxic from Diancie to give Hariyama the potential Guts boost, but some over-predictions led to Magnezone being able to take out the Hariyama while sustaining minimal damage to itself. So unless Hariyama just didn't have close combat, Portland unfortunately over-predicted to where it really wasn't able to do much of anything with the Guts from Hariyama. If he had it, I'm not sure on that one. Additionally, while he brought HP Fighting on Crest, which was excellent preparation for the planned Bisharp, even at +1, it was unable to take out a bulky Bisharp, which caused Portland to lose their Cresselia very early. And if we know one thing about Portland, they love their Cress, and Cress always is kind of the crux of their team. They love it, they use it to bring back battles, and it got taken out early, so that kind of dashed too many hopes of a comeback. And ultimately, Portland really just did not have enough for Phoenix's pressure, and what little they had was just taken out due to some over predictions and bulky sets on Phoenix's part. At the top of the rankings, at number 4, we have Manaphy City, who are 4-3 with a +2 differential. They were previously number 5, so they are up 1. They have broken the top 4, and they won over the Oakland Rose Raiders 3-0. And really, in the game, bulky Sylveon just put in work early on, as it took out the Mamoswine and and scouted out the sets of what appeared to be Mega Lopunny and Magneton while being able to end up at full health. So that was great play with Sylveon early on. Tricking a Choice Scarf onto a Roserade set up a very, very sexy HP ground scenario on an incoming Magneton from Dragalge. I mean, if you look at the scenario, it was actually a very safe play because Roserade was trick-locked into Giga Drain as Manaphy City brought out their Dragalge, and really nothing could have switched in on Dragalge, so going for an HP ground was very safe, because even if Roserade stayed in, well, guess what? I mean, Giga Drain isn't going to do anything, and you get a little bit of damage off on the Roserade, so it was a very good-looking play, but if you look at the logistics of it, it was a very calculated and somewhat safe play, and really, that just killed Oakland's momentum for the time being. Later, that same Dragalge was able to absolutely destroy a Zoroark after living a knockoff, which ended the illusion shenanigans that Oakland had going, and finally, the combination of Alomomola and Scarf Hydreigon were able to bring the game home with a couple of Draco Meteors, winning Manaphy City the game and allowing them to enter the top 4 for the first time this season. Congratulations, Manaphy. Let's see what you can do now that you're in the top. At number 3, we have the Phoenix Sunkern, who are 5-2 with a plus 15 differential. They were previously number 4, so they are up 1. They won over the Portland Timbers 5-0, and Phoenix has really just continued to impress this season. And despite their lackluster start, they have really come on strong of late and definitely look to be a title contender. In a slightly funny side note, despite being ranked number 3 overall, they aren't even first place in their division thanks to the Toronto Star Raptors' unprecedented undefeated start, which I'm hoping will come to a screeching halt very soon. In the battle, it was really just kind of straightforward for Phoenix as they stepped on the gas and just did not look back. The combination of Mega Medicham and Bisharp really shined as Bisharp was able to take out Cresselia, which is a check for Mega Medicham. Actually, I'd call it a counter. And Mega Medicham was able to take out Scizor, which is a general check to Bisharp. So Cheese's pressure put Portland in a spot where they were really just unable to keep up and were completely dismantled by the immense pressure that Phoenix is able to provide. So guys, watch out. Phoenix is on a tear, and I mean, whew, giant killers right there. At number 2, we have the Atlanta Braviaries, who are 6-1 with a plus 15 differential. They're previously number 2, so there's no change there. They won over the New York Metangs 5-0, and admittedly in the battle, Hax was definitely on Atlanta's side. While I highly doubt that impacted the outcome overall, it undoubtedly affected the final score. A first-turn Scald Burn from Seismitoad on Donphan allowed Seismitoad to use its Rindo Berry to take minimal damage from Seed Bomb and eliminate one of the 2 threats stopping a Double-Blade Sweep, and while he did freeze the Regigigas with Kyurem, he used the freeze turns effectively to set up his rocks and let Seismitoad go down, allowing Double-Blade to come in and clean up the game. So it was really, really ugly, but Atlanta just took what was given to him and used it to take a win. I mean, a win's a win, and you get it any way you can, especially in this league when each win means quite a bit. I mean, there's only 11 games, so you got to take a win any way you can. Atlanta takes it, and they're still at number 2. Finally, unfortunately, at number 1, we have the frickin' Toronto Star Raptors, who are 7-0 with a plus 24 differential, and they're previously number 1, so there's no change there. I'm getting bored of saying this. They won over Montreal Cobalines 3-0, and in the shock of the century, Jolt seemingly abandoned his heal first, ask questions later playstyle as he brought high pressure offense against Montreal. Turn 2, he made an aggressive play of switching Wobbuffet into Nidoking in order to trap and KO it when he didn't even scout to see if Nidoking had Mega Horn. I mean, I had to pinch myself to make sure this was real life when I saw that. In the mid-game, he was able to punch a huge hole in Montreal's team with Expert Belt Breloom, a very ingenious set, I might add, as it was able to take out Machamp and Excadrill while getting enough damage on Granbull for Banded Talon to be able to clean up the game for a very quick and straightforward 3-0 victory. Now, I know I said last week that Jolt said something to the effect of he was better than everybody in this league. Well, this week I actually have a text that I'm going to read right now from Jolt saying, "Wow, this league is a bunch of scrubs. I can beat them in my sleep. Hashtag YOLO, hashtag swag." Oh man, somebody please knock him off. I am sick of hearing this. I'm sick of all these cocky text messages he's sending me. I mean, beat him. Beat him, please. I don't want to be saying that he's in the number 1 spot next week. I mean, that's getting boring. I want somebody new up there. But anyway, that will be the rankings. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that stuff. And this is Styx signing out. Why not? See you guys.